Welcome back. Let's have it out. My guest tonight is JJ Tabane, a media practitioner. We are talking about the influence that political analysts have in shaping how you think about the important matters in the country. Let's take your Facebook comments before we continue with my guest. There's a comment from Maribunya Paile on Facebook, and he's saying, you are saying, look at how much South Africa hates Zuma, but love your channel. Then you see exactly how much influence these analysts and commentators really have on our society. Then follows another Facebook post from Roger Hlongwane, says, propagandists of the highest order, that's what they call us. Not a single one is calling out the IMF and the rating agencies for the Western political capitalists. They are one analyst after another. On ENCA, they interpret nonsense. They have created bogus economic crisis. It looks like we have a caller on the line as well. Let's take Isaac from Polokwane. Isaac, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. Good evening, sir. And how are you?
I'm fine, Botsang.
Yes, you may go ahead, Isaac.
All right. I'm interested in this conversation you're talking about. We're living in a world where we have a problem of fake news, fake reporting, and at the same time we have realized, especially in South Africa, that our journalists are, there's a term that I've coined called Juno politicians. They are Olivia Poping the systems, and we live in a world where the truth and reality is what people receive, and based on who has so much social capital to raise it. So the issue from JJ to say we cannot blanket or put a brush on everyone else, for me, I believe it's scandalous, because it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of info or the damage posed at that moment. So whether it's one incident or few incidents, it doesn't matter. The minute you see such information or such actions being done, you have to be worried as a society. That now we only see maybe
Isaac,
two.
I get your point. Point is made. I hope JJ has noted that it's not about quantity. Thank you very much for your call. I'll allow JJ in a moment to can comment and respond to that. Thanks, Isaac. JJ, coming back to you. Isaac is saying it's not about the quantity. It can be 5 people.
I don't know what he means.
We know the rule that or the talk that says you can make 10 correct things and make one mistake and the damage is done. That's how I interpret Isaac.
But
Isaac
also, one swallow doesn't make a summer. I can't reinterpret that proverb. So the issue is, if you are talking about assessing the state of things, so in this case, the state of journalism, right? I don't have evidence that says the majority of journalists are crooked people who are trying to fool the society. I don't have that evidence. The closest evidence I can have is where people complain, right, about what journalists write and what the ombudsman, in this case, the press ombudsman, pronounces. And I've said to you, with my research, right, it has shown that, in fact, the majority of the times, the journalists get it right. Where they get it wrong, you and I must do something about it and critique them and not say, no, they are in our industry.
And that's exactly why we are here. That's why they created this platform for us to come and set the record straight. Before we continue, there's Tebogo who is calling from Cape Town. Is Tebogo, are you on the line?
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Tebogo.
I actually just want to indicate that for me, it is definitely about quantity as well as quality. It's really being naive to say it's not about quantity. The most mistakes, in fact, there are lesser mistakes that are caused. However, they may be damaging. That is correct. But I do think that people who are always feeling aggrieved have got avenues that they could always use in order to try and correct the damage that they have suffered. You yourself, Bonang, with respect, you have served on a very discredited ANN7, where you were pushing an agenda that we all saw was completely wrong. But we accepted still your views as you were giving them to us, but we disagreed with them. And some of those things we see today in the state capture. So basically for me, JJ, I agree with what you are saying. It is not about this issue is not about, if there are fewer problems, it means at least there is something good that is happening in the majority.
Thanks, Tebogo, and thank you very much for your call. Well, a comment has been made, and this takes me to the analyst, myself
yes.
being one. Let's not focus on journalists as if it's the only media platform that's available. Tebogo is saying there has been another platform that I operated on as a political analyst, and therefore they will still look and listen to me and listen to my views, even if they disagree.
Absolutely.
I thought, as an analyst, that is the purpose of what should happen. People don't necessarily have to agree with political analysts. What is your view and take on the political analyst?
Quickly, on the analyst, firstly, I think that the state of analysis is very poor, and I'll tell you why. Because it's narrowed to a few people. I mean, you've got 24 universities or thereabouts, right? But each time you know, media houses, even those that are competing, one analysis, they'll go to Professor Ndlejana, or they'll go to Sadra Guto, and then they'll go to Professor DeForest. After that, you run out.
Preference. Yeah. There's both sides there.
It's interesting, but all the radio stations using the same people all over again.
Well, that's maybe
Why?
what we should look at. We should not look at the people that have been recycled and used. Maybe the problem is not because the state of an analyst is poor. Maybe they are out there and they are not being used by
poor
the
because if you feel the need each time there's a constitutional issue to just talk to Professor DeForest, do you know how many universities have constitutional law that they are offering in this country? Why can't media go and find those analysts, those professors who have never said a word?
That's what we should check.
That's a poverty of ideas. If we only have 2 or 3 people who can speak on same things and are recycled all the time.
This brings me, you are referring to analysts coming from university.
Yes.
I'm saying is the old school. And people, it's an academic textbook analysis. And you have analysts today. I'm not a professor. I don't even have a PhD. Yeah. And I'm not a professor at any university.
Sure. No, I was not arguing that only academics. I was just giving an example of a category of analysts who are recycled, whereas there's a big pool. Right, in this case, 24 universities. Right?
Okay, while we are on analysts now, there's a call from Archie's calling from Pretoria. Archie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please go ahead, Archie.
Yeah, it's pertaining firstly to the issue of the analysts. Okay, I see JJ was talking more about journalists, but he says 65% they are correct. So in majority they are correct. But I'm saying 35% is a huge number to be wrong. And you cannot rely and say, oh, majority is 65%. What do you say about the 35% that are wrong? You cannot just accept that. We as society see journalism and journalists, and especially analysts, as people who are telling us facts based on research, etc. So if they are 35% wrong, how then do we trust them? And he cannot then turn around and also say, we must be educated as a public that, journalists are not always correct. We expect them to be correct all the time.
Okay,
and when they are wrong, they should admit that we are wrong for this. And that should not be greater than 10%.
Okay, let me correct something on behalf of my guest. He didn't say 65% of the journalists in the country. What JJ Tabane said was 65% of the cases that are reported to the ombudsman, the press ombudsman, they are found not to be wanting. But I agree with you, even 35% we can improve of that as media practitioners and people. But I'm glad you brought up that fact, actually. Thank you very much for your comment. JJ, let's get back to the political analyst, and you have brought the academic part.
Yes.
But I have seen other media platforms that I knew. I'm almost every day on radio stations in the country, various, especially community radios and regional radios, on Northwest Radio and so forth. And I have seen how people in those isolated and non-popular media houses are eager, for news and for information.
Sure.
And what do you think, where you are sitting, what should happen? Because I'm one of the people who are saying political analysts, and this is what the viewers want to hear tonight. They do influence decision-making of the
They do, but they
society.
can actually do better. All I was saying is that the state of analysis is poor, right? Because you are repeating yourself. You've just said now you are in many stations and so on. That shouldn't be the case. There should be a long queue before you could repeat yourself on a station.
But maybe there
isn't.
Maybe the demand.
No, it's laziness of journalists who can't find new voices. We must do that. Secondly, right, if in finding these new voices, we'll then in the process find new perspectives. Because frankly, you know, if I come and have a debate with you, if you put Zuma here, I know what you're going to say. Because you need to be consistent. Otherwise, if I don't know what you're going to say, it means you have not been consistent. So we need to find people who can actually begin to show us a different point of view. Media houses must actively seek, right, for new analysts. I mean, if you look at the radio station, you find that there are, let's say, 10 shows. And you find an analyst who could straddle all those shows. You listen in the morning, they are there in the morning. At night, they are back again. Whereas, in fact, the producers should be looking for new voices.
Let's go and pay the bills. We'll come back to this.
Okay.
We'll continue shortly with this conversation after the break.